so good morning, class.
Good morning.
That was pretty good. My name is Mr. Hawks, and I work for a company called Ancient Artifacts, and today you're going to get a really rare opportunity. You're actually going to get to touch some artifacts from the American Revolutionary War. Now, I need you guys to be really careful with these artifacts, and in order to make sure that you're careful with them, I have a few rules that I need to set down right now. The first rule is there's no talking. If you're talking, you're distracting. You're distracting the people around you that are trying to listen to me, and you could even be distracting me. And if you distract me, you will get my complete and total undivided attention, and I guarantee you do not want it. He wasn't talking, so he's okay, right? Are you okay? You can be alright? He'll be alright. Do not be distracting. That is the rule. If you are talking or being distracting, I'll give you a warning, probably. I don't have to. But I probably will, and then I'll send you to the back of the class, and it'll be up to your teacher as to whether or not you get to participate in it. If you are being disrespectful to me, to one of the people around you, or to one of the artifacts, I am not going to give you a warning. I'm going to send you to the back of the class, and you will not get to participate anymore. I cannot have you being careless or disrespectful with these artifacts for your sake and the artifact's sake. If you have any questions, please feel free to save those questions for the end of the presentation. You said it from out of the American Revolution that I can possibly talk about an hour. Even if I talk again, I might talk about what you want to learn. So if you save your questions for the end of the presentation, I'll try to get them then. Save your questions for the end of the presentation. If you have any comments that you'd like to make, like, oh, Mr. Hawks, guess what, guess what? I have a picture of George Washington. He's on the dollar bill. I don't have a dollar bill, but I have a quarter. He's on that too. All right, if you have any questions, save those questions for the end of the presentation. If you have any comments like that one, please feel free to make those comments tomorrow. When I'm not here. Because I don't care. But your teacher cares, she does, she cares, and she wants all of those comments. She wants every single one of those comments, but she wants those comments in the form of a 5,000-word essay. So, questions at the end of the presentation, and feel free to make those comments tomorrow. Do you want to write a 5,000-word essay? Do you? I didn't think so. So, you probably want to keep your comments to yourself. Now, we're going to be using something today called the Museum Protocol. If you do a good job with the Museum Protocol, I will hand out last my favorite artifact. Out of all of the artifacts that our company has, this one is not the oldest, not by 1.5 million years. It's not the most fragile artifact that we have, but it is what I think is the coolest artifact that we have. If you do a good job with the Museum Protocol, that's the artifact that I'll hand out last. If you don't do a good job with the Museum Protocol, well, I've got another artifact that I can hand out last that's kind of boring. It's not very interesting. Do a good job, I'll hand out that last artifact. Now, this last artifact would have terrified soldiers on Revolutionary War battlefields. They were more afraid of this artifact and ones like it than anything else out there. It is really, really scary, and it is really, really dangerous. Even today, it's still super, super dangerous. And I'm a guy, and I think that kind of stuff is cool, right? So, do a good job with the Museum Protocol. That's the artifact that I'll hand out last. Don't do a good job with the Museum Protocol, and I'll hand out the one that's kind of, well, it's boring, it's lame, it's not very dangerous, and it is super, super not scary at all. You'll show me. And I'll watch each and every one of you at one point during the presentation to make sure that you're doing a good job. You probably won't even know that I'm watching, but I am. Watching you, buddy. All right, so the Museum Protocol. If you have to use it, you got to know what it is. And you know what? It's easy. When you have an artifact in your hands, I want you to look at it, and I want you to get a feel for it. That's something that I think a lot of people miss about history. History doesn't happen in paintings and statues in museums. It happens to people. Now, a lot of times those people are just like you and I. Sometimes they're not, but a lot of times they are. So when you have an artifact in your hands, think about those people. What was it like to be alive during the American Revolution? Why did they want what they wanted? Why did they do the things that they did? When you're ready to hand the artifact to the person next to you, that's when you use the Museum Protocol. First thing you have to do, you need to get the person next to you's attention. A slight nudge with the elbow is what I'm looking for. Obviously, if you do that and you get my attention, remember rule number 1? What's rule number 1?
No distracting.
Don't be distracting. And what's rule number 2? No. Be respectful. That breaks both of those rules. So you will gently get the person next to you's attention with the elbow. When they're ready, please don't be distracting. Thank you. When they're ready to receive the artifact, they'll put their hands up just like this. Can I see everybody do that? Now, if you've got anything in your hands or on your lap or on your head, it needs to go underneath your chair. No pieces of paper, pens, pencils, Xboxes, nothing like that, right? If you've got really long sleeves on that are covering up part of your hands, you need to roll those back. As long as they're not covering your hands, you're okay. We're all right in this class. All right, so the person next to you, they'll put their hands out like this. You will place the artifact in their hands just like that. Don't drop it in the other person's hands. Don't do the slam dunk. Don't do the bomber. Or the dump truck. Even if you do it really close, still dropping the artifact. You need to place it in the other person's hands just like that. Also, do not get the person next to you's attention with the artifact. If you do that, they're going to pull it out of your hands and you did it wrong. Right? Also, do not hit any of the artifacts. Don't scratch at the artifacts, don't hit the artifacts, don't shake the artifacts, don't hit the artifacts, don't throw the artifacts in the air, and do not hit the artifacts. I stress that because every once in a while in this presentation, I'll see somebody hitting one of the artifacts. Tapping on an artifact is still hitting the artifact. Hitting yourself with an artifact is still hitting the artifact. Hitting the person next to you with an artifact is still hitting the artifact. Don't do that. All right, so can you guys follow those rules?
Yes.
I said, can you follow those rules?
Yes.
Honestly, I think I could train monkeys to do it. In fact, one time, I even had 8th graders do it right.
Wow.
8th graders are almost as smart as monkeys. I don't like 8th graders. Okay, so let's get on with the fun part of the presentation. Now let's find out what you guys know about the American Revolution. Do you know who the American Revolution was between? Who were the two warring sides in the American Revolution?
America and France.
No, you're not quite right there. Yes?
America and Britain.
Between the American colonies and the British, exactly. And do you know at least one reason why the Americans wanted to rebel? Why they wanted their freedom, their liberty, their independence, why they wanted to get away from that big, nasty, stinky king? One main reason, it's one word, and that one word is
Freedom.
they wanted their freedom because of freedom. That's what you just said. Why did they want their freedom, their liberty, and their independence? One main reason, one word. Anybody? Let me give you a hint. It starts with T and ends with axes.
Taxes.
Good job. All right, so how did you guess? All right, taxes, exactly. Now, guys, I have some bad news for you, and I don't know how you're going to take this. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Children, eventually, you're going to grow up. Aww. You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to get jobs. You're going to work really hard, and then eventually your boss is going to give you a paycheck. Now that doesn't sound so bad, does it? But the government is going to take taxes out of that paycheck. Now there's a difference between the taxes that we pay today and the taxes that the colonists paid. And that difference is representation. Today we get to elect people. We vote for them, and they go to Washington and Sacramento, and they talk about what we want to spend our tax money on. If we want to build more bridges, if we want to build more schools, if we want to bail out a failing and antiquated automobile industry, or prop up a corrupt banking system. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it? But it is all things that we've done. We do have a say as to what our tax money gets spent on. The colonists didn't have a say. They sent their money away, and the king and the parliament decided what it would be spent on. So yes, taxation without representation. If you don't have a say, you shouldn't have to pay. Now there were a number of acts that were passed, and an act is like a law. One of these acts was something called the Quartering Act, and it said basically this: the American colonists are not able to take care of themselves. They need British soldiers to come to the colonies to look out for them, to take care of them. In essence, they need these British soldiers to come and babysit them. Yeah. Aww, who's a cute little colonist? You're a cute little colonist. You're a cute little colonist. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Do you need a babysitter? Do you need a babysitter? Do you need a babysitter? Really? Sometimes. just a little bit around dinner time? We're going to agree to disagree. But anyway, the colonists didn't think that they needed babysitters either, but that's what the Quartering Act said. Not only do you need these British soldiers to come and babysit you, act as a police force, you're going to have to pay for them too. Now, it could mean that you sent some money away and they bought their own food and built their own houses, but it could also mean that a British soldier just showed up at your house and said, "Hello, how are you doing? Hi, how are you doing?" You're going to want to shake my hand, guaranteed. Okay, yeah, great. All right. Okay, let go of my hand. Would you let go of my, would you let? What a creepy little colonist. Here's the thing. I've come from England, which is in Britain, 3,000 miles away across the Atlantic Ocean, and I need a place to stay while I'm here in the colonies. And I notice you have this nice, lovely house. Probably have a nice soft bed upstairs, kitchen full of all kinds of nice, yummy food. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I am such a nice person, I'm going to give you a great opportunity. Are you excited? It doesn't matter. I'm going to let you go outside and sleep in your barn tonight with the pigs and the chickens and the cows. And I'm going to sleep in your nice soft bed. And then tomorrow morning, because I am such a nice person, I'm going to give you another great opportunity. Are you excited? It still doesn't matter. Tomorrow morning, I will let you come back into your house and I will let you make me breakfast. Isn't that nice? I'll let him make me breakfast. Now I want some bacon and eggs and some of the little round toast. Do you know what the little round toast is called? Just say it.
Crumpet? Waffles?
Crumpets for breakfast? Americans are savages. The little round toast. I don't want French toast or Belgian waffles. I want English muffins. Doy. I'm from England. Hello. So you go out, get in the barn now. You go barn now. Go get in the barn. Go get in the barn. Go get in the barn. Right, you barn now, scoot. Now, would you like that? Somebody coming into your house and telling you what to do? I would hate that. And the colonists hated it too. But that's the Quartering Act. Now there was another act that was passed that was called the Currency Act. And it said basically this: the American colonies are not allowed to make their own money. Now, as a colonist, you could go out, you could get a job and make money that way, but the colonies aren't allowed to print their own money. They can't stamp their own coins or write their own bills. They have to use whatever British currency is available in the colonies right now. But here's the thing, there wasn't enough British currency to go around. Now, the Americans were very wealthy in that they had a lot of stuff. I mean, they had houses and boats and farms and wagons and motorcycles and jet skis. Okay, so did they have motorcycles and jet skis?
No.
No, of course not. Those weren't invented yet. I mean, can you imagine George Washington crossing the Delaware on a jet ski?
No.
His wig flies off. His teeth come out. I mean, he could turn around and pick up his false teeth, right? Because they're made out of wood, they would float. Have you guys heard that before, that George Washington's false teeth were made out of wood?
Yeah.
Totally not true. That is an American myth. When I was your guys' age, I thought it was true. I ran into several teachers that thought it was true. It's not. His false teeth were made out of ivory from an elephant, a walrus, cow's teeth, and some other really gross, nasty, disgusting stuff that you can ask me about at the end of the presentation, if you feel brave. The last 8th grade class I did this presentation for. But ivory. And actually, throughout his life, he had 7 different pairs of teeth. And if you want, you can go to the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C., and you can see a pair of George Washington's teeth. If that's what you're into, you can go and check out some old dead guy's teeth. That's not my thing. But the Americans had lots of stuff, but not a lot of currency. So they found a way around the Currency Act. They started using money from other countries. And my first artifact, and the oldest one that I'm going to be handing out today, is one of those pieces of currency. This is a silver Spanish 2 Royale. It was minted in 1769 in Lima, Peru, during the reign of King Carlos III of Spain. Now we know that this was used in the colonies. So think about what the colonists could have used it for. They could have bought food with it. Most of the money that we have today at one point or another is used to buy food, so sure. They could have bought transportation with it. Maybe they were a Tory. Somebody loyal to the king, saw the revolution coming, didn't want to be part of it, so about passage on a ship back to England with this coin? Possibly. Maybe this coin at one point was in Thomas Jefferson's pocket? Probably not. But the more I learn about history, the more I can make educated guesses about what the artifacts would have been used for. And the other side of that coin, figuratively speaking, the more I learn about the artifacts, the more I learn about people's lives and what it was like to be alive during the American Revolution. Now, I'm going to hand this to you, both hands museum protocol. Good job. It's going to go down the first row all the way to the cute little corners. You're going to hand it back. It's going to come down here to you. Guess what you're going to do? Yeah. And then it's going to come all the way down here to you. And what's your name?
Bella.
Bella. I always think that it's a good idea to learn somebody's name before you throw something at them. Don't you agree? Go ahead and spread that out on the chair or the desk next to you. And when you're done looking at the artifacts, place them on that. I will come and collect them at the end of the presentation. Once you put them on the towel, please don't pick them up again because they're not there for you to play with, and do not stack them like Legos. Yeah, I had an 8th grader do that a few weeks ago. He was gone. Yeah. Did I mention I don't like 8th graders?
Yeah.
My advice to 5th graders, don't ever become 8th graders. All right, so I've talked about some of the reasons why the Americans wanted to rebel. Now, how did they rebel? Have you ever heard of somebody called a Minuteman? A few of you. Okay, now a Minuteman is an ordinary person, and he could have an ordinary job. He could be a farmer. Most Americans at this time were farmers, so most Minutemen are going to be farmers. But they could have other jobs. They could be craftsmen, bookstore owners, doctors, lawyers, teachers, any number of jobs. But when the alarm is raised, they're ready to go out and become a soldier in 1 minute. Hence the name Minuteman. What is something you would want sitting next to the front door so you can go from a farmer to a soldier in 1 minute? Yeah. Why'd you raise your hand? What would you want sitting next to the front door ready to go at a minute's notice so you can go from a farmer to a soldier? Yes?
Weapons.
Weapons like ICBMs, aircraft carriers, ninja throwing stars. What are we talking about here? A gun.